Magandang araw po, mga kaibigan. Welcome sa ating Tapatan sa Aristocrat. Bumati ka naman.
Magandang umaga. Nagtitipa pa ako ng kape. Pero magandang umaga sa inyong lahat at sa ating mga panauhin ngayong...
Fresh from Vietnam po yan.
Yes.
Oh, kita nyo. Diba?
Diba?
North or South?
Ho Chi Minh lang.
Ho Chi Minh lang. Oh. Anyway, kami po ni Sky ang mag-uudyok sa ating mga panauhin para magsalita. Pero lumabas po kasi yung balita na may dalawang panibagong Don Quixote ngayon. At sila po ay nagtungo sa ombudsman. Pinarating po sa ombudsman ng reklamong treason. Ano ba yung treason? Karaniwan nating naririnig ito sa panahon ng digmaan, subalit maaari ding magamit ang katagang ito bilang isang generic term na magpapakita ng kawalan ng kakayahan ng isang pinuno ng bansa. Ito po yung ating paksa ngayon. Is the reason for treason. Panauhin po natin ang dalawang nagreklamo sa ombudsman, si Attorney Bono Adaza at si Camentong Laurel. Hindi po matatawaran yung kanilang kakayahan. Alam po ninyo kung meron mga utak na hindi na pakikinabangan, kung merong pag-oopera at paglilipat, pagta-transplant, yung mga utak ko nito gastado dahil ginagamit. Yun yung iba dyan, mahalang presyo dahil slightly used. Pero kasama rin po natin ang isang profesor mula sa UP College of Law, si Professor Harry Roque, at isang kilalang abogado, at siya po yung abogado ng pamilya ng isang taga-Olonga po, na bukas may bista. Narito rin po naman si dating mayor ng Quezon City, June Simon. Isa po sa mga kaibigan ni Ging Deles. Nung araw, no? Hanggang ngayon. Hanggang ngayon. Okay. So, sisimulan natin. We will ask our guests for their brief statements. At ang issue ba rito, para kay Attorney Bono, ano nagbunsod at nagreklamo kayo ng treason? Please.
Well, the definition of treason under 114 of the revised penal code is any citizen who leaves war against the Republic of the Philippines or adheres to its enemies, giving it aid and comfort, has committed treason. Now, question, has Pinoy committed treason? I submit that he committed treason on the following grounds. No? The MILF is an enemy organization. It's an insurgent organization. It's involved in terrorism for quite some time in the Philippines. And we have a continuing war with insurgent groups here, including the MILF. No? And some people are saying that war does not exist. War exists because any activity waged by insurgent organizations or belligerent organizations against the Republic of the Philippines means war. The traditional concept kasi for some people is war is a fight between two states. That's an antediluvian concept. No? It does not exist anymore. If they take a look at Article 114 of the revised penal code. And first, Pinoy went to Tokyo some time ago, delivered 5 million pesos to Murad, the chairman of the MILF. Murad is our enemy. The MILF is our enemy. He gave 5 million for use by the MILF. They enumerate many reasons, the official ones, but how do we know that this money was not used in the buying of weapons? And some of these weapons were used to kill the 44 SAF commandos. But even if they were not used for weapons, the mere fact of giving money to the MILF for its own reasons is enough treason from my point of view, within the definition of 114. No?
Yeah, okay.
Another is that it's a matter of common knowledge, though Malacanang has not given any denials, that President Pinoy was the one who ordered the stand-down orders, meaning they didn't like the Sub-44 and the other SAFs in the area to be reinforced for only one reason, so that it will not derail the peace process with the MILF and it will not derail further the approval by Congress of the Philippines of the BBL, no? The Bangsamoro Basic Law. So that's the second ground.
Okay.
Because the stand-down order gives aid and comfort to the enemies. And as a matter of fact, if the stand-down order were not given, maybe less than 44 would have died in the process.
Okay.
You know, the excuses given there by both the military, the police, and by Malacanang don't hold. Because in a state of war, you have to take chances. When you fight your enemies, you don't calibrate so many things. You do what must be done. And as a matter of fact, even the survivors of Sub-44 were saying that had there been reinforcements, many of those who died would have survived. And maybe they would have demolished the BIFF and the MNLF, MILF in the process. No?
Okay. Yung pa lang muna ang foundation.
No, those are the two. No?
Okay.
And now in the agreement with the MILF, Pinoy, through his Delis and Ferrer, the chairperson, vowed to see to it that a BBL will be passed. The BBL, one glance at it, anyone who has read the Constitution will tell you immediately that the whole damn thing is unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional from A to Z. I don't know who are their lawyers. Maybe they should conscript Harry Roque as their lawyer so that they will be taught constitutional law properly. No. I don't know who are their lawyers because I am sure that if they are Philippine lawyers, they have not read the Constitution. They have not. They must be Malaysian lawyers because they don't know nothing about
What
the
has Malaysia
Constitution
got to do with it anyway?
in the way it's written. Well, I've heard from various sources. I've received a lot of texts. Some of them came from Malaysia, to the effect that the Philippine government received $750 million to see to it that the BBL will be in place. Now, until now,
From Malaysia.
yeah, until now, Pinoy has not denied. There's no one from the Pinoy government who has denied this information that's been going around. There is a maxim in law that when a charge is made against you publicly and you do not deny it, you have admitted the accusation by silence. Up to this point, there is admission by silence on the part of the government.
Okay.
So if that's received,
That's something else.
that's something else.
Okay. Kamentong, let me ask you, yung bang timing ninyo angkop pa? Dahil sabi nila nung araw, si Jumides Maturan nanalo sa tawag ng tanghalan dahilan sa timing. Ito po bang kaso ninyong dinala sa ombudsman, nasa timing?
Well, yung legal aspects, of course, we bow to bono on that. And we've been together in several suits before the different courts, including the protest suit that we made in 2010 doon sa election noon, where the PCOS machine has clearly been shown to be defective, to say the least, but treacherous in essence. So ang aspect na aking involvement dito is politically historical, and I think it's very timely. Dahil itong BBL and the sacrifice of the SAF-44 brought out the patriotism in the people. But the Filipino people has a difficulty, hirap sila, to define what they feel about this. But this is actually treason. It is an act, kung sa Tagalog, kataksilan sa Republika, kataksilan sa bayan. And this is not new in Philippine culture, political culture. After the Second World War, collaborators were rehabilitated. So yung traitors became the people in authority. And bahagi ng kultura natin, natanggapin yan . So acts of treason are not understood or are confused and muddled. But the SAF-44 incident, following from the MOA AD, which already brought out the initial sense of patriotism and nation statehood, was enhanced by the sacrifice, by the blood of the SAF-44. Kaya ito ay timely at ang ebidensya niyan ay yung ugong sa social media, na ito'y pinag-usapan talaga. Ano? Dahil I think finally, a lot of Filipinos put their finger on it. Ito nga pala ang talagang issue dito sa mga, I would not say just the present administration, but yung naghaharing uri. But there are many applications of these treasonous acts. For example, the past few months, the water issue has been decided by a foreign court, International Commercial Court of Arbitration. So our essential rights are being decided upon by a foreign court na sinasabi pwede mag-charge ng corporate income tax ang mga water utilities sa consumers. This is treason against the people and against the state and against the Constitution where these basic utilities are considered public service, etc., etc. So treason exists in so many aspects of our lives, but this opportunity gave Bono and some of our other colleagues the idea that this is the time to pinpoint it to the people. Ito'y katraidoran sa bayan ang ginagawa. And finally, we could go on, but we have more to discuss. Another evidence of this treason, and the war, the silent war against us, may cosmetics yung war na yon dahil walang bakbakan between states. But when the MILF says it will submit its investigation report first to the Malaysian government, di ba? Evidence na yan, that they're working for a foreign element, for a foreign power, that is at odds with our government. So, yes, it is very timely, and it should be further pushed by people who understand the idea of treason and how it is really the single factor preventing this nation from achieving its greatness. And that is not corny. This nation can achieve greatness, but you must take the traitors out of government and to remove them as the ruling power of this land.
Okay. Pero may nagsasabi kasi, parang lumalabas daw sa ganitong mga kaso, parang hereditary. May pinagkukunan, may pinag-uugatan. Ano ba yun? Ano ba ibig sabihin nun?
Well, yun ang historical aspect niyan. Yung lolo ni Noynoy served the Japanese puppet government as head of the Japanese puppet parliament, yung Kalibapi.
Lolo ni Noynoy, sir. Sinong lolo ni Noynoy?
Kaparehang pangalan niya. Benigno Aquino
Yung
Senior.
Aquino.
Sumunod si Ninoy Aquino Jr. And ngayon, ito,
Nakasuhan din ba ng treason si...
Nakasuhan. Nakasuhan ng specific nakasuhan ng, I forget the exact charge.
Under Marcos yan?
No.
The senior.
The senior.
Okay.
Pero namatay siya in the process. And then the father naman, the son of the senior, who is the junior, si Ninoy, admitted, and it's in print, it's written, I worked with the CIA. At pinagmalaki niya, I did not work for the CIA. I worked with the CIA. So sa kultura political culture ng Pilipino, okay yung makipag-collaborate. And I think yung kaso ni Harry exposes a lot of people who work with the foreign power too. So yun ang kailangan natin sana mapaunawa sa bayan at sa sarili natin, and yan ang tanggalin natin, yung pagkalabo ng ating understanding of treason.
Okay. Thank you very much. Professor Harry Roque, is there such a thing as treason ngayon?
Well, alam niyo po, I'm very sympathetic to the complaint. And like Bono and Mr. Laurementong, I think madami po talaga nagtataksil sa ating bayan at hindi po pwedeng menor na krimen lamang ang dapat isampa sa kanila. Dapat yung capital offense ang talagang isampal sa kanila dahil sa kanilang pagtataksil at pagwawalangya sa bayan. Pero unfortunately, itong usapin po ng treason, napakadami pong jurisprudence and history. And I think perhaps the best jurisprudence that we have is there could be a complaint for treason but a crime of rebellion. And what is meant by this really is treason kasi in criminal law has been construed to be applicable only in times of international armed conflict. Now, meron talagang gera sa Mindanao, and this is a non-international armed conflict, dahil hindi pa naman sakop ng Malaysia ang Maguindanao. Although soon, that is what Malaysia wants. No? That is why they want to, they have been supporting the MILF. So I think my suggestion is, kung po pwede, amendahan lang siguro, just to be sure, gawing alternative prayer ang rebellion. Okay? Because rebellion is the taking up of arms, and it is for the purpose, among others, of removing from the allegiance to the said government a particular territory, which is really what the MILF is all about. Dahil yung kanilang use of force is to create an independent state. So it's classic rebellion. Except in this instance, it's not just the MILF that is responsible or liable for rebellion. It is also all those who promote rebellion. And that is why I think if you read the content of the Bangsamoro Basic Law, lahat po ng sumusulong doon sa Bangsamoro Basic Law should all be charged with rebellion because they are all promoting rebellion. Okay? So sa akin po, yun lang, siguro for purposes of legal history and para masigurado natin na maparusahan itong mga taksil na ito, malinaw naman po, ayan, 135, any person who promotes rebellion shall suffer reclusion perpetua. No? At hindi lang po yun, no? Meron pang isang krimen na disloyalty of public officers or employees. Although si Laging Deles at saka si Presidente, dapat siguro rebellion mismo ang charge. Doon sa mga supporting characters, it should be disloyalty of public officers. And this is committed po, or this is imposed upon public officers or employees who have failed to resist a rebellion. So, siguro po, no, ito rin yung po pwedeng maging charge against those na tumigil doon sa pagbibigay ng reinforcement sa SAF 44. Because the shootout was really because of an act of rebellion. And when they said, don't assist the SAF, this is clearly an instant po of disloyalty of public officers or employees. So aking humble suggestion to my senior in the UP College of Law is just to make sure that Conchita Carpio Morales will not have a basis for dismissing the complaint, siguro alternative prayer, rebellion, and disloyalty of public officers or employees.
Yes, please.
The suggestion is well taken. But you know why we filed rebellion? Treason. We filed treason because it's rebellion. It will not attract so much attention. Rebellion is a common crime, no? Committed by so many people, and they are not even charged. The Department of Justice does not charge them. So, I took into consideration a shock treatment for everybody in order that also the concept of treason will really be threshed out. But you throw treason into the open and you hit the president, some other people will notice that something is wrong somewhere. Rebellion, not that much, no, Harry, not that much. But I agree with you that the current jurisprudence points out to an international conflict, no. But you know that's jurisprudence can change, as you know very well, no. And in this country, maybe the Supreme Court will change its mind. If it does not change its mind, the future Supreme Court may change its mind and agree with us on the definition of treason and the war that's involved. But I've been saying this, yesterday, some people were asking me, suppose if the government does not do anything with your complaint. Well, if they do not do anything with our complaint, as John F. Kennedy puts it so well, he said, those who make peaceful revolutions impossible render violent revolution inevitable. And not only that, they should remember that the final arbiter in this country, the final arbiter within the system on what the law is the Supreme Court, of course. But the final arbiter in this country on anything under the sun is well defined under Section 1 of Article 2 of the Constitution, which says that the Philippines is a Republican democratic state, sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them. Number one, what they say as EDSA 1. That's precedent for Section 1, Article 2. Next, the so-called EDSA 2. That's also another precedent for Section 1, Article 2 of the Constitution. Now, I'm not urging the people to do that. I'm only saying that that's an alternative within the context of our Constitution if government authorities do nothing. As Edmund Burke puts it, the only reason for the triumph of evil is good men do nothing.
Okay.
I just want to add to this legal discussion that we did discuss it with some of our friends. For example, what
Harry said.
Harry said was pointed out by Alan Pagia also to us by email. No? And then Rod Kapunan of Manila Standard pointed out an important question also. He says you cannot file a suit against the president. He has immunity while he is in his post. No?
Yes.
But that was clarified by Bono that this is not yet a case in court. This is just for the ombudsman, which is
to look
investigation, to look into it. And the case could be filed subsequently if it ever prospers there. One important aspect that Bono didn't mention is Bono is also tickling Conchita Morales, Big Carpio Morales, because Carpio Morales was the ponente against the MOA AD.
I saw it here.
We will test that. Now, I think very well taken yung suggestion ni Harry, and so we'll discuss it. And maybe others can join us subsequently.
Okay.
Maybe separate case will be filed against them before the ombudsman. In as much as we have already started with the treason, we have already included them, we might as well file another case for rebellion since the inclusion actually of Iqbal, Jafar, and Murad in the charge is with a view, because they are the ones who committed rebellion. It's really rebellion. They are only in conspiracy in the case of treason with Pinoy. No?
Okay. Let me ask Jun, kayo nasa civil society. Bakit parang mas trending ngayon yung pagkamatay nung isa dun sa Jamich, no? Kesa dun sa pinag-uusapan natin ngayon. Yung pagkamatay nung isang singer.
Kilala
no?
mo si Jam,
nakita ko sa television, trending daw yun eh. Saka yung kasal ni Chis Escudero kay Heart Evangelista. Bakit hindi pinag-uusapan to ng civil society?
Una, pinag-uusapan na rin itong mama sa panahon. No? Ako kasi, naging alkalde ko ng Quezon City, ngunit ako po'y tiga Maguindanao. Noong ako'y nag-asawa noong 1976, dyan po ako nag-honeymoon sa Dinaig, Maguindanao. Kami dalawang asawa ko. Noong 1974-75, noong nagtatago kay Marcos, dyan din po kami nagpunta. At noong 1985-86, noong kumakampanya po si Cory Aquino for President, ako po'y nilagay na magkampanya sa Maguindanao, Lanao del Sur, Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi. Yung tinatawag nating Regions 9 and 12. Nakasama ko nga po ng Bagado, si Bono. Ngayon, ito po nakaraan 2010, ako rin po na-assign na Noynoy Aquino for President Movement na maging campaign manager ni Noynoy sa Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Maguindanao at Lanao del Sur. Ngayon, pinag-usapan po itong treason.
Tanong ko muna, hindi ka ba nagsisisi?
Ngayon talaga, hindi lang siya nagsisisi. Talagang kailangan gumawa na po tayo ng karapatang hakbang. Sapagkat, kumbaga sa nagmamaneho, ang ating pong Pangulo ay nagmamaneho, dire-diretso na siya sa pader at bangin eh. Kailangan talagang pigilin na.
Yung matuwid na daan.
Diretso, tuwid eh.
Matuwid ang disgrasya. Hindi lang po disgrasya aabutan natin dito eh. No? Nais ko po sana magpaliwanag. Ano? Akala ko kasi na kailangan pa pumasay ang bangsa more basic law bago mag-commit nitong treason ng ating pong Pangulo. Hanggang nakita ko na in the process nitong tinatawag nilang peace talks, meron palang, we already giving up territory. Ito po pinakamahalaga eh. Tungkulin po ng lahat ng mga mamamayang Pilipino, 100 million po tayo, to safeguard Philippine territory. That is our primary duty and responsibility as citizens of this republic. Nang mamatay ng dahil sa iyo, never shall invaders trample your sacred shores. Ngayon, nakita ko na nung nagkalaban po itong SAF at saka itong MILF, kailangan daw makiraan tayo. Yung pala, even in the peace talks, we gave up territory by recognizing the camps. Sa kampon to, bawal daw po tayo pumasok. Labag na po ito sa konstitusyon po natin eh. Hindi po tayo maaari pumayag po rito. No? Ngayon, bukod po rito ay, ang ating po mga peace negotiators, kailangan unawain po natin na yung MILF, ang nagpapatakbo po sa kanila, ay yung po bansang Amerika. Yan po nais ko po ipaliwanag eh. Dahil nga, makita po natin, nung panahon po ni Gloria, at ni Ambassador Kenny, ay labas-masok po sila sa darapanan. Pumapasok po ang ambassador ng Amerika sa darapanan, wala po siyang dalang 4,500 sundalo. Ang dala-dala lang po niya ay ilang mga bodyguard lang. Paano niyo po nagagawa yon? You can only do that dahil meron po kayong ugnayan na sa MILF. Tayo naman po, ito nga po tinatago nilang pilit, before, during, and after the SAF operations, naroon po yung Amerikano sa SAF headquarters sa Sharif Agwak. Hindi rin po alam ni General na Peñas at saka nung SAF na magbubulilasi itong lakad nito eh. Kaya hindi po na tinatago yung partisipasyon ng po mga Amerikano sa kanya pong headquarters. Ngayon, wala po nababanggit po dyan. Bakit po tinatago po nilang pilit po yan? Ano? Bukod po doon ay, tinatanong ko nga po kay Atty. Harry Roque, ano ba ibig sabihin ng EDCA? Dahil po EDCA ay Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. Dahil ako po, twice a month po nagpupunta ako ng Maguindanao. Ang landing place po namin ay Awang Airport sa Dinaig. Pag landing niyo po ron, makikita niyo po doon ang 6th Infantry Battalion, Division, yun po yung kanilang headquarters. At naroon din po ang headquarters ng United States Army. Naroon din po sa Awang Airport eh. At pagpunta po niyo po sa Parang, ito naman po yung headquarters naman po ng Philippine National Police, doon din po naglalanding yung po helicopter ng Amerikano. So, bakit po sila labas-masok na po doon? Yun nga po pala, nagkaroon tayo ng EDCA. Again, hindi lang po pala sa Subic at sa Clark sila po pwede magkaroon ng base militar. Ayun po pala sa EDCA, sa lahat ng instalasyon ng Pilipinas, all over the Philippines, they can now have this.
Pero nabalita ko, wala pa yung EDCA, VFA pa lang. Hindi basta makapasok ang isang major general sa enclave ng mga Amerikano without the permission of a captain or a colonel.
Ito nga po kanya ulitin po natin, ito po nangyari sa SAF neto, nabulaga ho tayong lahat, Ngayon, isa pa ho ay, bakit ba tayo napunta dito sa negosasyon nito eh? Sino ba pinanggagalingan nito? If you trace it, it goes back to the time of Gloria Macapagal Arroyo na naroon po yung Hayat 10. Ito pong Hayat 10 nito, sila Miss Deles, ito rin po yung na-carry over ngayon dito po sa Pinoy government nito. And they're claiming this is a peace process. This is half-truth eh. Ito pong peace nito, ito po ang tawag ko na Rest in Peace Philippines. Talagang, there are more than 5 gorillas in the room. Ang ibig sabihin ko, meron pong MILF, which is a minority within the minority. The MILF represents only 200,000 of the 5 billion Muslim population of Muslim Mindanao. 200,000 naman po yan. That is about 1/25. 4% lamang po yun. Ngayon, bukod po doon, meron po tayong MNLF, meron po kayong BIFF, meron kayong Abu Sayyaf, at saka yung po mayorya na elected officials. Ito po yung mga gobernador, mga alkalde. Makikita niyo po, hindi po na kinusulta yung ibang mga tao doon sa kwarto. Ang kinusulta lang nila ay yung pong MILF. Kaya dyan po magtataka na sasabihin lang magkakaroon po ng peace agreement. Kaya kapag umuupo sila at nagbigay sila ng pera sa MILF, ano kaya gagawin ng mga gobernador? Ano kaya gagawin yung gagawin ni Miswari, alam naman po natin ginawa na ni Miswari, nagwawala na siya sa Sambuanga dahil binabaliwala siya Yung pong BIFF, alam natin sila sabi nila, hindi kami kasama dyan. So, this is not peace talks. This is just the start of spending money and creating more and more conflict in Mindanao.
Okay, and to whose benefit is it? Pag nagkaroon ng conflict sa Mindanao?
Yung pong conflict nito, ang magbe-benefit lang, mahirap po kasi sabihin na global oligarchs That's difficult to say, Alam niyo po, noong una, nagtatalo po kami ni Father June Mercado in Cotabato. Dahil nga, pinapaliwanag ko sa kanya na bakit present itong mga Amerikano in all of these talks? So, who told the President Aquino to go to Tokyo? Hindi ka ako. Who talked to Murad and Iqbal and the rest to go to Tokyo to talk to Aquino? Hindi ka ako yan. And who talked to the Japanese government na bigyan ng mga bise itong mga rebelde nito? Hindi ko rin kako kaya yan. Ang meron lang kayang gumawa niyan, yung pong scriptwriter, yung nga pong Amerikano. Ngayon, nung nakita-kita na po doon, ano po nangyari? We elevated a minor rebel group, the terrorista, na hindi na daw po sila terrorista because they are now peace talkers. Dahil tandaan niyo po, ang number one takot ng MILF is to be branded as a terrorist group. Dahil pag naging branded sila ng terrorist group, binrand sila ng Amerika na ganyan, tapos na po ang buto-buto nila eh. Ayaw po nila yan. Kaya tawag nila, we are not terrorists. Remember, we have a guest here last week na ini-insist po niya, we are peace negotiators. We will only go into rebellion if we do not agree. Nakita niyo, that's a play of words eh. Ayan. So madaling sabi, doon po sa amin pong pagtatalo yung Father Jun Mercado, siya po nagsabi sa akin na kanya pala present si Stephen Rood sa lahat ng mga meeting ng GRP at saka MILF, even in closed-door sessions. So I asked him, sino ba ako si Stephen Rood? Because I didn't know him. Where is the country representative of the Asia Foundation in the Philippines? What is the Asia Foundation? Where is the CIA front in Asia since the 60s? So makikita po natin, bakit pala present siya in even closed-door meetings?
And the Asia Foundation will be sponsoring a conference of media men from Mindanao to talk about peace.
Well, remember ito pong Asia Foundation nito, before Noynoy Aquino took office in June 30, 2010, si Dinky Soliman invited everybody na nagtumulong kay Noynoy Aquino for his campaign as president to a conference ng June 28, June 29, 2010. Imbitado po kami dahil nga Noynoy Aquino for President movement kami. Kaya tinanong ko po, sino po muna mag-finance yan? Dahil pareho tayo walang pera eh. Di pa tayo nakaupo eh. As in, may pera nito. Sino nga mag-finance? Yun daw Asia Foundation. So, ayan, patay na ako. Hindi na ako nag-attend. Dahil everybody knows that, I'm not a CIA guy. Ewan ko sila kung CIA tool sila, no? It appears na doon tayo patungo. Ano? And we keep on denying this eh. Ang alam nila na si Alan Purisima is just covering up for Noynoy. No. Noynoy, Alan Purisima, and the rest are covering up for the Americans.
All right, there you go. We'll open the floor to our friends from the media. Let's start with the lady. Simula pa lang yan.
Doon ho sa simula, pinag-usapan nyo yung treason. May mga footnotes to history akong nasagasaan in the course of my job. Yung isa, yung libro ni Louis Glick na CIA Station Chief sa Maynila dati. Sabi niya sa libro, nag-apply daw na maging CIA sa kanya si Ninoy. So, hindi ko to gawa-gawa, nasa libro to nung CIA Station Chief. Ikalawa, nung pakawalan ni Cory lahat ng political prisoners, siyempre, FOCAP, cover ng cover. Sinundan namin yung si Joma, tsaka si Commander Dante, all the way from where they were released sa kampo, papunta sa temporary presidential office sa Makati. Nandun si Cory, si Sagisag, si Joker, si Doña Aurora, tapos yung dalawang bagong release. Sabi ni Joma, karampatan, and this is all on videotape. Nandun ngayon sa ABS-CBN library. Sabi ni Joma, karampatan lang daw na isang Aquino ang magpalaya sa kanila dahil hindi sila magkakakilala hindi dahil kay Senador Aquino. Sabi daw sa kanya ni Ninoy, ikaw Joma, puro kalaway, wala ka namang armas, paano mo mapapalitan ng gobyerno? At sinabi naman daw ni Ninoy kay Dante na, ikaw sugod ka ng sugod, putok ka ng putok, wala ka namang ideology. Kaya daw ginawa ni Ninoy, isang araw, pinagtagpo sila sa bahay ni Ninoy sa hacienda. At doon, in the words of Joma, doon ipinanganak ang CPP-NPA. Nung mahuli si Ninoy after martial law was declared, lahat ng tao nagsasabi violation of human rights. And he was charged with all kinds of stuff, including his involvement with CPP-NPA. Yun lang ho, I just wanted to contribute.
So it's not a question but a sharing of some footnotes in history. So how would you react to that as a lawyer that you are, Bono?
I've known all that a long time ago. Sol, no, because one of my friends, no, he's dead now, used to be one of the best ISAF chief, no, in this country. And he has written books on the subject, no, about treasonous behavior of some people who are already dead. I hope they'll rest in peace, even after the revelation of Saul. No? But, I don't like to hark back into the past. No? Because they might say that I'm a professional Aquino hacker. I mean, I hack them, buzzer, or I hack them to death, even if they're dead already. No? But the fact of the matter is there are historical facts in this country that tend to show, as Mentong has pointed out, a string that tie together grandfather, father, and son, no? And his grandson also. And I don't like to discuss that matter because that's a good subject for another book. No?
Really?
In the meanwhile, I'll just concentrate on the treasonous behavior of this president because he shows a lot of, other than treasonous behavior, he shows a lot of incompetence and ignorance, no? Of how to govern the country.
Okay.
And that's what disturbs me more. No?
Okay, let's leave it at that at the moment. No? Yes, Mentong.
Yung lesson nga doon sa lahat ng mga narinig natin, including Saul's stories, as I said earlier, the biggest obstacle to this nation's progress is the domination of our politics and national life by this foreign power. Mahirap umamin ang marami kasi marami ang ating mga sundalo talagang nag-training katabi yung mga pupunta sa Fort Bragg and so on. Mga periodista natin, ilan ang scholars ng mga scholarship going to Hawaii and so on. So talaga, we are not faulting anyone. That has been our legacy from 100 years of American occupation. But now we have witnessed this sacrifice of the 44. And it has had an impact and it's an opportunity to explain to the people, ito, ang dahilan dito ay yung nandoon sa likod, yung anino sa likod ng lahat ng mga pangyayaring ito, which I think people are trying to bring out now.
Okay. Harry, anong worst case scenario nakikita mo that would happen in the Philippines should the BBL gets stalled?
Well, alam niyo naman either way, we cannot trust that there will be peace after the BBL precisely because of what happened to the SAF-44. Ang punto ko, at the time when the MILF is courting public opinion to support the BBL, nangyari pa itong SAF-44. Can you imagine what they are capable of kung nakuha na nila ang gusto na nila at meron na silang sub-state? Ibig sabihin, alam mo, you're actually conceding, granting them a sub-state with no guarantee that there will be peace. Because ang sa akin, the worst case scenario is if they succeed in getting it, this is only the beginning of the creation of a bigger independent Mindanao, not just in the autonomous region for Muslim Mindanao. So ngayon, ang worst case scenario, the worst case scenario is what we have. There will be war. And ang sa akin naman, the ultimate solution or the ultimate the ultimate solution to the Mindanao conflict is really to raise the people from the current poverty that they find themselves in. Ang problema itong BBL will only benefit the elite in the same way that we have benefited the Muslim elite under ARM and all other ways by which Malacanang has been buying the loyalty of the local elite in Mindanao. So tama na yung carrot stick approach na pinayayaman lang natin ay yung mga naghaharing uri sa Mindanao, siguraduhin na natin yung mga pondo na galing sa ating taumbayan nagagamit talaga para iahon sa kahirapan ng ating mga kapatid dyan sa Mindanao.
Okay. Linggoy?
Magandang umaga po. Linggoy from Opinion. Since we're talking about treason, I want to bring up to your attention that in the 1987 Constitution, there is a provision that when a government official is to receive some gift, help, scholarship, etc. from a foreign government, he has to get the approval of the Senate. The reason why I know this is that in 1987, when I was in the NTC, I was invited by the SINGPAC, the Commander-in-Chief Pacific, or Pacific Command, to a telecom conference in Australia, and they were going to pay for my ticket and lodging. And I, together with then, I forget what her position was then, Heidi Yorak, were the first under the 1987 Constitution to go to the Senate and to get a resolution to approve our getting this gift from a foreign government. The reason for this, I suppose, is transparency. Para hindi under the table yung lagay. But then, since then, 1987, up to now, I have not heard of the Senate having to work overtime because of the number of grants and gifts given by foreign governments. Do you know anything about this, Attorney Bono, and Attorney Roque, and Mentong and June?
This is my first time to hear about it, but if it is in the Constitution, this is a dead provision. It was observed with you and Heidi. But after you and Heidi, I think it was never observed anymore.
I think I know why it wasn't observed. Because when I sent my letter accepting the American invitation with this resolution attached, they were very unhappy with me because that meant that they could not use their being nice to me to control me in the future. So after that, I think, Filipino officials knew that if you did this, that you wouldn't be invited again. So I've never been invited again, not even for coffee.
Okay. John? So, noong po yung naging alkalde, naging presidente rin po ako ng League of Cities of the Philippines. At naimbitahan din po kami ng SINPAC na yan eh. At nung inimbitahan po kami, kasama yung mga iba't iba mga tao rito, taong gobyerno, kinukumbisi po nila kami na kampihan ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas to convince the Philippine Senate to extend the bases. At nagpakita sa amin sila ng mga aerial photo ng Camrang Bay. Pinapakita namin yung photo number 1, malinis po yung Camrang Bay. Yung photo number 2, dumadami daw yung mga Russian installations. Yung photo number 3, marami na, tad-tad na po yung Camrang Bay. And this is a threat. Kanya kumari daw, let go of Clark, kaya lang kumari maiwanan sila sa Subic. So yun ang kanilang sales talk sa amin. Nagkataon naman po na naimbitahan naman ako ni Governor Vo Hua to visit Nang Trang in Vietnam. At ang tanong nila sa akin, ano daw ba gusto kong puntahan? Sabi ko, gusto ko pumunta sa Camrang Bay. Para, akala nila, pupunta ako sa Camrang Bay, hindi, para mag-engage in business. Dahil maganda po yung kanilang silica sand eh. Ayan. Hindi lang, pupunta ako ron para makita yung Russian installations. Pagdating ko po ron, bakante po yung Camrang Bay. There's no such thing as bakante. Talagang magdinegosyo ka talaga ng buhangin at saka glass. That's it. So, madaling sabi, pandoloko na naman po yun eh. Napagit po ni Atty. Harry Roque, ano po yung worst scenario? Eh, naririto po tayo eh. Talagang, pag hindi po natin inaprubahan ito, nananakot na po. Nagbabanta na yung MILF. Eh, dalawang klase po yung MILF na nagbabantay. Yung MILF na walang pera at yung MILF na bibigyan natin ng 70 billion. Eh, bahala na po tayo kung anong klaseng MILF ang makakalaban po natin.
Alam mo, gusto kong mag-comment yan. What is the worst possible scenario? Last week, the Armed Forces of the Philippines said that it can demolish the Abu Sayyaf in a matter of days. They could demolish. Huh? They also said that could demolish the BIFF in a matter of weeks. Eh, pwede pala nila ma-demolish yung Abu Sayyaf at the BIFF. Bakit hindi nila ma-demolish yung MILF? Why are we going through this whole process which is a lot of waste of money? Hindi ba? Sabi nila maka-demolish. So, ang nagsabi pala sa kanila na huwag i-demolish ay si Pinoy. Eh, sino pa? Si Katapang naman, hindi gagawa yan kung walang order ni Pinoy. O, pa-demolish ng Abu Sayyaf. Let's see whether they can demolish the Abu Sayyaf in days. Ay, demolish ang BIFF in weeks daw. Let's see. If they can do that, why could they not demolish the MILF a long time ago? Because it's been there. Now, they have modern weapons. Before that, they had no modern weapons. Why did they not do it? So again, it must be up to the chain of command. No?
But there is no chain of command as far as the police is concerned.
There is only a chain.
There's only a chain.
And the command says, don't do anything.
Okay. That's another case. Pero you mentioned in your petition, in your complaint, may term kang ginamit dito na balkanization. What do you mean by that?
Well, splitting Mindanao into parts, or the country into parts, because actually, you know, the Balkans before belonged to several Austria-Hungary. You know, it was divided into various states. Now, further balkanization. Here in Mindanao, the policy of the national government has always been divide and rule. So, divide and rule. First, divide the Muslims from the Lumads. Divide the Muslims from the Christians. Now, divide the Muslims from other Muslims. The policy has never changed. Divide and rule policy. The divide and rule policy, especially if the BBL will be approved, will lead to balkanization of this country, because sooner than later, they will become a state. At the beginning, as Harry pointed out, a sub-state. But eventually, with the support of Malaysia and probably the U.S. government, it will become a state. What about us, the majority? Do you mean to say we'll take that lying down? They better not suffer from that hallucination, because we will not.
Jun?
Yung po binabanggit po ni Bono, kapag gumawa po tayo ng bansang Moro, ano po tawag dati sa natira? De bansang Kristiyano. So ano pong klaseng peace ang ginagawa natin? This is the same kind of peace between North and South Korea, between Pakistan and India, between Palestine and Israel. Ito po tinatawag ko na Mount Mayon Volcano Peace. Anytime sasabog po yan. At pagsabog po niyan, inarmahan nyo na po yung isa, pinuhunanan nyo ng... Remember, I don't really know how much the money is involved, 50, 70 billion, but billion po yun eh. Yung po 1 billion pesos lamang po pag-usapan natin. An Armalite na kasama po yung 2,000 rounds of ammunition cost 100,000 pesos. 10,000 Armalites times 100,000 pesos is only 1 billion pesos. Kapag binigyan niyo po sila ng 25, 50, or 70 billion, eh hindi lang po Armalite na mabibili po nila. Remember, in the sale of Fort Bonifacio, which is almost the same amount of money that they will get with this black grant na bibigay po ni Noynoy through the BBL, it was supposed to modernize the whole armed forces of the Philippines. And that's only about 37 billion. Makakabili ng panibagong barko, panibagong aeroplano, panibagong tangke, panibagong howitzer, ang AFP. Eh ngayon, the same amount of money ibibigay po natin, and this money is unaudited. Wala po auditor sa Mindanao eh.
Okay. Walang auditor dahil namamatay yung auditor. Okay.
But actually,
Yes, Mentong.
Liling Briones told me that nasa BBL yung sistema na lahat ng accounting will be done by the MILF for 10 years. Walang role ang COA. Ano? Now, this is from Liling Briones. No? You could invite her to explain that if you wish. No? Now, I would just like to add a very short piece to this discussion. Mapirmahan man ang BBL or hindi, tuloy ang gulo dyan. Because that is the way things are run when the US dominates. Ano? Sa Middle East, yan ang nangyayari. Ano? Yugoslavia was balkanized, you remember, from a very promising industrial state, multicultural, ano, under Marshal Tito, federal pa siya, Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. Ay ngayon hati-hati, mga 10 countries. Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Kosovo, etc., etc. So what are they now? They used to produce the car Yugo. Now they just buy cars from the European Union, Germany, and so on. We are today just a market too. Ano? Ganyan ang regular pattern ng basically it's British American. Ano? And then do you think Malaysia will stop destabilization in Mindanao while we have not given up Sabah? They will not stop, di ba? So all this talk about ito titigil na, kahit naman yung negotiator si Ferrer, Colonel Ferrer says No, you were not assured of peace. So why will you invest 70 billion only in the first year and second, third, fourth year yan, tuloy-tuloy yan. Ano? So,
Harry?
Well, alam niyo po, I have openly said that I have been retained by 2 clients to question the BBL if it is enacted into law. No? Ito po ay isang municipality sa Lanao na tutol po sa BBL at yung mga katutubo, yung mga lumads. No? Kakausapin niyo po ang mga lumad, ang kanilang hinanakit ay dahil hindi nga daw sila humawak ng armas laban sa gobyerno. Kasi kung sila daw ay humawak sa armas, baka pati sila binibili ngayon ng gobyerno ng 70 billion. No? So doon po sila nagsisisi na dahil sila po ay mapayapa, sila po ay namumuhay sang-ayon sa saligang batas, sila ngayon po ay naging Muslim dahil dito sa naging Bangsamoro dahil dito sa proposed BBL. No? At yan po yung dahilan kung bakit ang lahat po ng lumad ay nagkakaisa sa kanilang pagkakatutol dito sa Bangsamoro Basic Law.
Sky, ano tingin mo? Masaya to eh. Maganda pinag-uusapan natin. No?
Siyempre, parang ako mismo naguguluhan, no? Kasi para ang chain of command nawawala. Gusto ng presidente, ganun. Why do you think Pinoy is doing this? Ano yung nasa isip ba niya? Ba't niya ginagawa lahat to?
Yun ang tanong, anong nasa isip ng presidente?
Nag-iisip ba ang presidente? Because sabi ni Piping, he has a mental problem. Yan sabi ni Piping mismo, that's the uncle of the president. I'm not saying that he has a mental problem, but if it's true that he has a mental problem, we have had the president for the past 4 years who has had a mental problem. So probably magkakaroon rin tayo ng mental problem sooner than later. Hindi ba?
Yun isang problema mo dahil sa parang na you're expecting too much from the president.
Yes, because the president calls the shots in this country. He calls the shots. Congress, when the president tells Congress to do this, it will do it. Dami na yung instances na yan. Pag sasabihin ni Pinoy, halika kayo rito, even if they do not belong to his party, ay takbo lahat. They look like running dogs. No? Kaya nga, you expect a lot from the president. As a matter of fact, in the books that I've written, Presidential Balls and Emerging Upheavals, I said that Pinoy was the most incompetent candidate in 2010 for the presidency. I followed it with Beginning Hope and Change, the first 100 days. I stuck to my conclusion based on what he has done. Because like in the hostage taking, we should have learned by then that something is wrong somewhere. When a president waits for 11 hours in order to tire a captain who is a medal captain, something is wrong somewhere. And the one who got tired was Mayor Lim and Pinoy. They went to Emerald to have merienda. Alam mo, I just want to cite this. The Iranian embassy was taken over during the time of Khomeini by about 4 hostage takers. When Margaret Thatcher knew about this, he told his boys, I want that problem settled in 30 minutes. You know, in 10 minutes it was settled. 3 of the hostage takers dead, 1 surrendered, no hostage hurt. Suharto is just a new president. In Indonesia, a Garuda plane was taken over also, hijacked by 4 hostage takers. When Suharto learned about it, so he talked to his boys also. I want that problem settled in 1 hour. It was settled in 30 minutes, 4 hostage takers dead, and no hostage hurt. Tayo dito, 11 hours. Hindi siya nagbabasa kasi ng mga libro. 11 hours, naghihintay kailan matired si Captain Mendoza when he had access to the cell phone of Mendoza. You know how easy it could have been for him to call Mendoza, hey, Captain Mendoza, I'm sending there my executive secretary. I've told already the army and the police to stay away, about 2,000 meters away. Please, as soon as you meet my executive secretary in his number 1 car, in my number 1 car, lay down your arms. I'll have you taken to Malacanang. I'll conduct a press conference. I'll restore you to your post. How easy it could have been done in 30 minutes.
But Bono, hindsight is always perfect vision. Eh?
No, but if he read the Thatcher incident and the Suharto incident, he would have not needed hindsight. All he needed was to have read the books on this matter.
Well, those are particular instances. Let's look at the general picture and answer the question. Anong nasa isip niya? Well, there could be many things. But I'm sure this is part of what he considers. You know? Nung nagpakita ng kaunting independence si Gloria Arroyo doon sa Iraq, remember, pinilit niyang ibalik yung truck driver natin kapalit na pag-uwi din ng ating tropa. Na galit yung US State Department. A year later or two, Hayat 10 turned around and turned against her. Diba? Hayop 10 ang tawag.
Hayat.
Hayat.
Easy.
Our political leaders are always aware of the history of Marcos. Diba? Napakalakas na, napakagaling. May mga issues pero matatag. Former military man, defeated the MNLF. Pero nung gusto na siyang tirisin, natanggal siya. So when Erap was president, and he, believing both as an actor as an individual, na he could stand for the flag and so on, at nung inuutusan siya in a note by Clinton na tigilan mo yung assault sa Abu Sayyaf, at sabi niya hindi pwede, may actually Abu Sayyaf eh. More of those details will come out in his book. At sabi niya kay Cohen na nagdala, hand carry ng State Defense Secretary Cohen, dala hand carry yung note which he still has, requesting, in quotes, na itigilan yung assault. At sabi niya, no, I cannot. I've already issued the order. I cannot retract that. Besides, blah, blah, blah. Ano nangyari? Just around a year later, tanggal si Erap. So this is not lost on Noynoy. Aside from the fact that, except for Erap, dahil kanyang lahat ng mga so-called immorality ay public matter naman, halos lahat ng mga leader natin may mga tinatagong pera and so on and so forth. Hindi naman maiwasan sa politika natin. So, blackmail is possible. But again, it is... Remember yung si General Garcia, bakit na-expose yan? Sinong nag-feed ng information back here? It's the Americans, yung kanyang account sa States. They are the all-powerful, all-knowing na kinatatakutan ng kahit presidente ng Republika natin.
Okay. Merong binanggit si Senator Enrile before he surrendered himself to the police when I asked him what he sees in Mindanao with the agreement signed between the government and the MILF. And he said that conflict may be inevitable. We may return to the 70s scenario of the Ilagas versus the Muslims. Do you share the views?
It's possible, but not probable as of the moment. As a matter of fact, I think Enrile has underestimated the Mindanaoans. Because the Ilagas refer particularly to the Ilonggos. This will not only be a conflagration with the Ilonggos, this will be a conflagration all over Mindanao. Like me, I've been there lately. Almost everybody within my reach were saying, alam mo, we better arm. Because if we don't arm, the national government will endure us. And sooner than later, if they are more armed than us, we will be overrun here. And remember, this is one thing that Pinoy and the others have not noticed. That it was published that 300 people coming from Maguindanao were sent or went to Syria and Iraq to join ISIS. Joined ISIS. Most of those in that area in Mindanao, many of them are Sunnis. The Sunnis are the normal sources of the ISIS. Now, this video, which became viral, showed how some Sub-44 commandos were mangled into pieces, reminiscent of the burning of that pilot from Jordan, and the decapitation of so many Christians and Shiites, both in Syria, in Libya, and in Iraq.
And you're not being an alarmist.
And I'm not being an alarmist because these are a set of facts. I think we should take into consideration the realities. It's good for Pinoy because he's a friend of the MILF. What about us who have openly objected to this? We are subjected. Every time I fly to Mindanao, my wife tells me, you better be careful there. Huh? With your views on the BBL and on the MILF, you're likely to lose your head. I'm not being alarmist. It alarms everybody in Mindanao.
Okay. Harry, your views, please.
Well, I think ang maganda dito sa ginawa nila Bono at ni Bentong, no? It has called the attention of the public that the time has come to go after those who have been giving away Philippine national territory. Napakatagal na kasi na our minds were conditioned that unless you agree to the cessation of our territory to a terrorist group, you are against peace. So it's about time that we use the law this time around and assert that in fact it is the duty of all Filipinos to defend this constitution, among others, by filing criminal cases against those that will commit criminal acts, be it treason or rebellion. Panahon na dapat mapanagot yung mga yan dahil kung hindi sila titigil. Yung mga hayate na yan, nandyan na yan ang panahon ni Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, nandyan na naman yan at hindi ako magtataka kung sa susunod na administrasyon, nandyan na naman yan. Para sila mga Dracula sa kapangyarihan, para sila mga higad sa kapangyarihan, pero puro naman mga kriminal. Okay? So it's time for accountability. We ask not just for accountability for those responsible for the SAF 44, we also ask that those who have been giving away national territory to terrorist groups should themselves be held criminally responsible for their acts.
But Harry, you must also remember that the Americans have never included in the list of terrorists the MILF.
Well, that's very strange. Alam nyo, you learn to turn back to history again why the United States in the first place has this special relationship with Muslim Mindanao and the elites. It is because prior to American rule, they executed a treaty. And in this treaty, they recognize Muslim Mindanao as if it were a protectorate. And that explains why, kapag ang mga taga-MILF will write to any sitting president, that U.S. sitting president will write back to them. No? And that is why the Americans are at the forefront of pushing not only what was declared as unconstitutional, the MOA AD, but also the BBL. It is not only because of their perceived treaty commitment, it is also their proven economic interest in the area. Noong mga panahon po na nag-iimbestiga kami sa Maguindanao Massacre at ako'y nagpupunta pa dyan sa Cotabato, hindi ko na po ginagawa yun at delikado na, nakikita ko po na doon sa airport ng Cotabato, napakadaming mga private jets, ang mga laman ay mga sundalong mga Amerikano. At napitan ko at sinunghalan ko rin naman siya na mas may karapatan ako magsungal. Ang napansin ko po, paikot-ikot sila doon sa Lagwasan Marshland. Yung pala confirmed na nila na mayroong natural deposit dyan sa Lagwasan Marshland at ang tingin nila, mas madali makapasok ang kanilang mga negosyante kung ang gagamitin ay yung mga elite ng mga Muslim Mindanao through the BBL kesa dito sa gobyerno nasyonal ng Pilipinas.
Ano? Any reaction?
I confirm everything he said. He's afraid to go back to Mindanao. My wife is also afraid that I should go back to Mindanao because I may likely lose my head, no? Especially with the encouragement of the Philippine government and taking into consideration the president, who according to Piping has a mental problem. You know, I was safe during the time Marcos. I fought him so hard, but the man was brilliant. He will not order my killing. I'm not sure of this one. So Harry, you also be very careful because you may be in the same footing with me as of now.
Okay. Pero, Jun Simon, how do you look at all this? You know, will you still go back to Maguindanao for your honeymoon?
Alam niyo po kasi, dalawa sombrero ko lagi. From Imperial Manila and from Maguindanao. No? Ngayon ako, wala akong choice. Tiga doon po ang negosyo ko. Naroon ako. Kanya talagang hindi ako pwede hindi pumunta doon. Pupunta ako doon. Ano? Ngayon, isusut ko muna yung sombrero ko bilang isang tiga Maguindanao, Mindanao. Ang problema po taga namin, pag nagdidesisyon itong mga tiga Maynila. For example, Totohanan na may mga armas doon. You talk of disarming the MILF na, ilan yan? 8,000, 10,000 arms. Eh, pag binilang yung armas sa buong army, baka 300,000, 500,000 ang baril dyan eh. Kanya, pag tinanggalan mo na 10,000, ang dami pa rin baril na nakakalat. Ano? Ngayon, yung sinasabi natin Ilaga, Ilonggo, yung comment ni Senator Enrile, alam niyo po, noong 1973, 74, 75, 76, yun ang giyera sa Mindanao. Ito yung Moro National Liberation Front ni Nur Biswari at saka yung Government of the Republic of the Philippines. Kami po nagpapakain dati ng mga evacuees doon eh. At talaga, libo-libo ang namatay. I estimate mga 50,000 na namatay nung panahon pong yun eh. At kung hindi po doon sa Ilonggo Nation, na-wipe out, nagtuloy-tuloy eh. Yung po mga Ilonggo, ang mga matatapang na humarang sa Sultan Kudarat, sa North Cotabato, kaya hindi naka-spread out. Kaya, sila po, dahil nga, if you can, kung kaya mo mag-itak, marunong din kami mag-itak. Kung kaya mo pumutol, marunong din kami pumutol. Kung kaya nyo ulamin yung mga laman loob ng tao na yan, kaya din namin kainin yan. So, terror against terror na nangyari. Kaya hindi ho naka-spread eh. Ano? Ngayon, ito po, in place pa rin po yan. They call themselves as Christian Liberation Front, Christian Liberation Army. Pare-pare may armas. Yung mga kapatid natin na ibang relihiyon, may armas. Ito, may armas din. Kaya tabla-tabla lang. Eh suddenly, gagawa ka ng Bangsamoro Basic Law. Bibigyan mo ng uniforme, yung MILF. Eh hindi na sila illegal. Legal na sila ngayon. Kami na lang ang illegal. So, di ba paano kayo niyan? They wipe out neto kabilang grupo. Bukod sa meron sila uniforme, binigyan mo pa silang monthly sweldo at saka billions upon billions of money to buy more and more arms. So, that spells bilang isang tiga Maguindanao na naghahanap talaga ng kapayapaan, hindi ito kapayapaan na mangyayari. Ngayon, ano po ba sinasabi ng ating Pangulo na failed yung arm experiment? Hindi naman nung nag-fail yung arm experiment, nag-fail yung nag-experiment. Ano? Dahil bakit, ano po ibig sabihin ko? Mula sa po sinasabi ko na patakbuhin lang natin ang 2 komisyon na hindi gumagana, magkakaroon ng peace eh. Because peace has a twin word, it's called prosperity. You cannot have peace without prosperity. You cannot have prosperity without peace. Eh doon po sa amin sa Mindanao, sa Muslim Mindanao, wala pong auditing eh. The Commission on Audit does not function. You put in 24 billion pesos, 50 billion pesos, eh papatayin po yung auditor, so it does not work. It does not work. Gamitin lamang po yung pera sa tama, eh magkakaroon po ng kapayapaan, magkakaroon ng pag-unlad eh. Pangalawa, yung po Commission on Elections does not work. Hanggang meron po hanggang what do you mean it does not work? Sinusulat lamang po namin doon ang eleksyon ng boto eh. Wala naman pong bilangan eh. Basta kung dahil ganito po, para maunawaan po ng kaunti ng mga taga Maynila, the COMELEC is supposed to deliver the election paraphernalia a few days before the elections. Eh sa Mindanao po, for example, in Lanao del Sur, lagpas po ng kalahati niyan, the house of the winning mayor is the municipal hall. Kaya kung bahay ko po, ako po yung alkalde, bahay ko yung my residence ang municipal hall, i-deliver po ng COMELEC to the treasurer's office yung election paraphernalia, nasan po yung treasurer's office? Eh di nasa kusina ko, nasa sala ko. So, makokontrol po namin na eleksyon. Doon po papasok sinasabi po ni Atty. Harry Roque na natutulungan po natin yung elite, yung datuism. Kaya sila na sila mananalo dahil kontrolado po because COMELEC does not function. Pag pinag-function nyo naman po yung COMELEC at saka Commission on Audit, magkakaroon po ng mga halal na tunay na gusto ng tao at magagastos po yung pondo sa tama, well, these experiments are going to work. Hindi po ngayon talaga na hindi po pwede. Ngayon, hanggang wala rin po yung dalawa na yan, kahit na magkaroon kayo ng Bangsamoro Basic Law o kahit anumang batas ang gagawin ninyo, hanggang wala pong auditor at wala pong COMELEC, eh wala rin po pag-uulad na mangyayari.
Thank you very much. Questions from the floor? Yes, Sol, tapos si Yan. Okay, sige, Sol.
Pinag-usapan niyo ho yung health ng presidente. Hindi ho lihim na noong 1983, isa sa dahilan kung bakit nagmamadaling umuwi si Ninoy ay dahil nabalitaan nilang medyo patawi rin si Presidente Marcos dahil ni-reject yung kidney transplant. As a matter of fact, noong August 21, he was barely alive. Pagkatapos ng episode na yon, lumakas ang tinig ng mga tao na nagdidemand ng transparency sa health condition ng kahit sinong maging Pangulo. At after EDSA 1, nagkaroon ng movement na maisali yun sa requirement. Ano nangyari doon?
Bono.
It's in the Constitution. Ang una diyan, if he no longer capable in the performance of his duties, he will be the one to serve a letter to Congress saying that he's not capable of performing his duties, and when he feels later that he is already capable, he will also send the same letter to Congress. But Congress can dispute that and overrule that letter of his by a two-thirds vote. No? Ngayon, hindi naman magpapadala si Pinoy ng sulat sa Kongreso. Ang kadalawang alternative is a majority of the members of the cabinet could send a communication to Congress about the condition of the president. Na hindi naman pwedeng maglalagay ng sulat yung majority ng cabinet doon sa Kongreso. So we're really left with no possible provision in the Constitution on how to examine the mental capacity of the president. The only other alternative there is Section 1, Article 2, which I am not, of course, promoting because that's dangerous. No?
Okay, thank you. I just want to add some information. In Zambia, their president collapsed and was brought to the hospital. This president succeeded another president who died last January. Sparkling calls for presidential aspirants to undergo medical checks to guarantee that they are fit. So this is not only the Philippines, even in Zambia, meron ng ganitong panawagan.
You know, in our country, we subject policemen to psychoneuro tests. Clerks, we subject to psychoneuro tests. Probably if we require presidents, vice presidents, senators, congressmen, governors, mayors to undergo a psychoneuro test, a number of these people will fail, including those who are ambitious to run for president.
But
Maybe
Bono,
it's about time we put that in our constitution
But Bono,
or in a law.
You will agree that there was once a man named Dracuyal who said, I have a certificate from the mental hospital that I'm clean.
No, well, that's not enough to have a certificate from the National Mental Hospital.
Okay. All right. Yes, please.
Ado Paglinawan, Gising Pilipinas, Radio Veritas. Comment before question. Comment, yung sinabi ni Secretary Coloma na the Armed Forces of the Philippines is mandated to protect the head of state. Quoting the Constitution, kinurek ko siya sa social media at sinabi ko, hindi yon. Ang provision is the Armed Forces of the Philippines shall protect the people and the state. At dinagdagan ko pa yon. In fact, when the head of state is proven to be incapacitated or no longer serves for the good of the nation or for national interest, the Armed Forces of the Philippines can in fact decapitate that head. Sabi ko.
Hindi na pwede yun. Foul na yun. Foul na yun. Foul na yun. Go ahead with the question.
The question. May lumalabas na movement ngayon for the promotion of federalism, which is the establishment of states, no? Naalala ko na nung masali sa Federation of Malaysian States ang Singapore na lalagay natin, eventually umalis ang Singapore claiming self-determination and bolted out of the federation. Dito naman sa atin, kung tayo mag-federate, what is to stop this Bangsamoro state from bolting the Philippines and joining the federal state of Malaysia? Pangalawang question, ito sa diskurso dito, hindi na papag-usapan that the BBL is effectively negating our claim to Sabah, for which we have a standing legal agreement with the Sultanate to recover. Ano po ang iyong comment dito?
Harry.
Well, Una po, no, yung punto po ng federal state, no, talaga pong imposible yan sa ating saligang batas, no. Kinakailangan ang taong bayan muna sa kanilang papel bilang soberenya ang magbigay ng basbas, no. Dahil habang tayo merong unitary state, lahat ng kapangyarihan ng local government ay manggagaling laban sa Kongreso ng Pilipinas, no. At kinakailangan lahat ng Pilipino ay sumang-ayon doon sa proposal na magkaroon ng bagong sistema ng gobyerno kung nananais nating magkaroon ng isang federal state. Pero tama po kayo, pag tayo ay bumuo ng isang federal state, yan po ay isang step away from yung tinatawag nating remedial succession. No? Kasi the right to remedial succession, which is not a right, well, let's not call it a right. No? Remedial succession, according to decisions of the ICJ, no, is not a right. What is a right is the right to self-determination, which means autonomy. But remedial succession is not a right. It is neither prohibited nor lawful under international law. No? Pero kung papayagan nga natin itong federal system, it's one step away because part of remedial succession is the right to form part of an existing political entity. No? It's not just to establish a newly independent entity. Now, dun po sa Saba, tama po kayo. No? In fact, napakadaming pagkakataon na po na talaga itong presidente ito pinamimigay ang Saba. At ito po dahil sa kanyang napakalapit na relasyon doon sa Sultan ng Johor. Kaya nga po nagkaroon ng problema dito at pinuntahan ng mga Sultanate of Sulu yung kanilang lupa sa Sabah. Ang pinadala po ng Malaysia rito ay Sultan ng Johor na talagang kasama naman nila sa Boston nung sila nag-exile. No? At kaya nga po itong problema natin sa Mindanao, hindi nyo po talaga maihiwalay doon sa usapin, doon sa relasyon natin sa Malaysia. Malaysia naman ang bumuo ng MNLF at MILF. Malaysia naman ang nagsusuporta sa kanila. Yan ang tayong dahilan kung bakit may submarino ang Malaysia para mag-deliver ng mga armas dyan sa mga insurgents sa Mindanao. At kaya naman walang tigil din ng Malaysia sa paghihimasok dahil nga nais nila ang isang gobyerno na titigil na ang kinin ng Sabah galing sa Malaysia. No? So sa akin po, kinakailangan panagutin din po si Pinoy sa kanyang mga pinagagawa na para bagang pinamimigay na niya ang Sabah. Bagamat ang pula po ay hindi lamang kay Pinoy. Ang pula ay naki Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo din dahil doon po sa baselines law na sinertify as urgent ni Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo kung saan naging basehan niya na para mapalakas na ang kinin ng China ang kanyang claim sa Spratlys. Dito sa baselines law, hindi rin po nila sinama sa ating baselines yung Sabah. Samantalang, yung dating baselines law po natin noong 1950, merong express mention no, na yung paggagamit ng baselines is without prejudice to our claim to Sabah. Nawala po yan sa 2009 baselines law.
Thank you very much for the input.
Alam mo, Ado, yung sinasabi mo kanina, you were citing the exception to the rule indicated, provided for in Section 3, Article 2 of the Constitution. The section states, civilian authority is at all times supreme over the military. That's the rule. The exception is the next sentence. The armed forces of the Philippines is the protector of the people and the state. It does not say protector of the president. And the state here has no reference to all the elements of the state. No. It refers to sovereignty and territory. Now, the next sentence is its goal, meaning the armed forces of the Philippines, is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. I'm just wondering whether Katapang and the other chiefs of the armed forces of the Philippines has read this provision. Because this guy Paloma, Kuloma, I'm always thinking of birds flying from Malacanang. I'm sorry, Kuloma Palayan. This Kuloma keeps on saying, I want the critics to read 122 pages of the BBL. We have read that several times. The problem with Kuloma, he has not even read Article 114 of the Revised Penal Code. It's a short article. He has not read Section 1 of Article 2. Very short. He has not read Section 3 of Article 2. And most of all, he should have read the oath of office of the President, which is in Section 5 of Article 7. So, question, in reply to your question, have you ever asked Katapang and the others whether they have read this provision of the Constitution, Section 3, Article 2? And if they have, what is their interpretation of this particular provision? Because Section 3, Article 2 of the Constitution was the one invoked when Cory was challenged by several groups. Section 1, Article 2, and Section 3, Article 2. I should know because I've been lawyering for these rebels, military rebels. And also during EDSA 2. This is the same provision which was invoked by the people that converged in Asia and by the military that finally pulled the rug from under Iraq.
If I remember, Bono, there was this man whom we both talked with, and we cited the same provision.
That's correct.
That the armed forces is protector of
the people and the
people
state.
And the state. Because I remember in one forum of the Manila Overseas Press Club, with Ambassador Fuying in attendance, Angelo Reyes, may he rest in peace, was asked, if and when the state gets to be so unpopular, on which side will you be? Will you be on the side of the people or on the side of the state? And he said, your armed forces will be on the side of the people.
That's correct. Correct, because I want to give this footnote of history. In December of 2000, 5 generals came to see me. I don't like to identify them now. 5 generals came to see me saying that I should accompany them to Angelo Reyes. I said, why me? He said, because for the past 5 months then, they were trying hard to convince Angelo Reyes to withdraw support from Iraq. And they were saying that they could not persuade Angelo because Angelo thought that he was better than any one of them, having been to Harvard for a year. So I said, I've never been to Harvard. Why me? He said, well, maybe your credentials as a UP intellectual, just like Harry here. Maybe you can convince Angelo Reyes. So I sat with them, no? And I talked with Angelo Reyes about choosing between friendship, because he's a good friend of Iraq and the country. And his reply was, that's a judgment call. Judgment call. And when one of the generals asked me after we left, what do you think? I said, he will decide, I think, in favor of the country. And he did. And he did. No. That's a footnote to history.
Yes, please.
Just to respond directly to the point raised by Ado, federal system, and it's being proposed, and that's why where one area where I may disagree with Bono, who was also a proponent of federalizing the system. The Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia was federal, but it was centralized under Marshal Tito. So federalism does not necessarily mean decentralization, as many interpret it to be. You know? And decentralization does not equate to prosperity, democracy, and progress. You know? Not necessarily. You know? For example, local government code natin has localized a lot of powers. It has also localized and created several local layers of corruption, up to the point that even the Kabatahang Barangay and the Sangguniang Kabataan has been so corrupt that they had to stop its re-election. You know? So the proposal to help the country change has been reduced to federal parliamentary or maintaining the unitary presidential. But you can cite in history and in the present global context failures of parliamentarism and federalism, failures of unitary and presidential systems. Parliamentary, in Europe, you have the pigs. They're all failed economies. Portugal, Italy, Ireland, Greece, Spain. Presidential system, the epitome of that is the US, where you have the same problem of gridlock and so on as in parliamentary systems in Europe. Of course, the Philippine intelligentsia seems to be debating only these two options. But China will say, well, we have neither. We have democratic centralism, which is also Vietnam's system. And they're now claiming it's better because they're showing progress with it. But essentially, I think what the Chinese and the Vietnamese are showing is that you have an economic development program and you stick to it. How you achieve that with whatever system is the important thing. However, whatever system we adopt, federal or presidential, we never have a consistent, stable program of development. Ano? Dahil every 5 years, every 6 years, papalitan ng buong programa.
Precisely.
So we have to focus on what we need in terms of economic policy and economic development.
Okay. Well, it's getting late. Now, let me pose the last question to our guests today. Hindi ko lang alam kung sino una magvo-volunteer. Anong inyong assessment dun sa peace process at yung impact nito sa darating na eleksyon? At the same time, yung paano magpo-prosper yung kasong treason. Yun. Sino kaya magsisimula? Anong impact nito nangyayari ngayon sa peace process at sa darating na eleksyon? Sige. Simulan natin kay Bono, tapos kay June, kay Mentong, at kay Harry. Yes.
Ano ang impact sa
sa aming elections?
2016? I think everybody should not be sure about 2016 coming. With the present problems we have in this country, you know, why do I say this? I understand that the president wants to continue in office. That's what's not said publicly. He wants to continue in office because he is not sure of the man who will replace him, who will implement his policies. I don't know what these policies are, though, no, except the ones that I've seen. Number two, Binay is one breath away from the president. Now, if you were Binay, I'm just analyzing these things. You're one breath away from the president. You're badgered from all directions. You stand the possibility of being imprisoned, losing your reputation, losing your wealth, and even some of the members of your family going to jail. What will you do if you're president? So if Binay does something as contradistinguished with what the president will do, we cannot be certain about having elections because Binay will not be crazy to call for elections if he succeeds to the presidency, for instance, next year, early next year. Will he call for elections? Unless he is insane. He will call for elections, but if he's not, he'll not call for elections. So there are two impending possibilities of the elections not happening. The third possibility is at the rate the present administration is also badgered from all directions from the NTC and other groups. You cannot deny the possibility that there might just be a transition government. And if there's going to be transition government, you're not going to have elections in 2016, will you? There will be no elections. So I think at the rate things are going, elections are uncertain, and we are not certain as to who will be the next man who will be in charge of the country or the next group in charge of the country. That's how it looks to me.
But have you considered the anointed one by an embassy by the sea?
That's a possibility. That's a strong possibility. But, you know, the equation in this country has also changed, in effect, subliminally. They can control everybody. We're 100 million. To assume that these people in that embassy there can control the fate and destiny of our country as they did in the past is also an insult to the Filipino intelligence. Because there must be 100 brilliant Filipinos who are working on their plans, because 1 in every million. There must be 1 in every million Filipinos who is brilliant, who is thinking of the country, who is planning what to do, and who may not be controlled by the American government. Why are we afraid of the Americans? They have never won any war in the world. They have lost in Vietnam. They have lost in Laos. They have lost in Cambodia. They have lost in Korea. They have lost in China. They have lost in Cuba. They have lost in many places. We are the only ones scared here. This is our country.
Okay. All right. Kamentong.
Again, it's my area of disagreement with Bono. I feel the Americans have, can, and do control the political leaders of this land. No, wala pang talagang tumatayo na pwedeng sabihin na hindi yan factor anymore. And
Wala tayong Hugo Chavez, ha?
Walang Hugo Chavez because the combination of popular will and military support has not congealed, no? Hindi nabubuo pa yan. And so despite the flowery patriotic rhetoric of my friend here on the left, the reality is tayo pa rin, kontrolado ng kano. And let's not take that lightly kasi they can destroy countries and they are destroying countries that they cannot control because that's their only option. If I cannot control it, I destroy it. You see Syria, Libya, and so ang daming examples yan. So we must be talagang brutally honest about the realities dito sa ating relation sa superpower. And yung fifth column nila, napakarami from the Hayop 10, sa media, sa loob ng military. Andyan yan. Any president here will fear assassination. They're not even, of course, I'm not against the American people, no? Kasi the American enemy assassinates its own presidents. And nandyan na ang habang listahan yan, no? From down to Kennedy and so on and so forth. So we are dealing with a real serious challenge. Mm-hmm. And tayo ay aahon lang dyan if the intelligentsia comes together, no?
Okay.
And leads instead of the politicians leading, and we provide that vision. Now, there's a last point, no? I see everything happening now, and the 2016 vital to one strategic concern that Filipinos should understand. And this has been announced by Obama, the Asia Pivot. Sa 2020, ang target ng Estados Unidos, 60% of their military forces will be rebased sa Asia. Mm-hmm. So this affects everything in the region. And it affects everything in the world. Kaya nga, there are several articles now that saying Europe, Germany, and France are now trying to stop the Asia Pivot by protecting their own interests there and preventing war with Russia. Now, ito malayo na diskusyon, pero dapat ang national discourse natin hanggang doon sa level umabot eh. Kasi yung ating nangyayari dito, pati sa 2016 elections natin, hindi natin maintindihan yung kabuuan kung hindi natin alamin o malaman ang importansya ng mga nangyayari dito sa Kano at yung importansya ng Kano at yung ginagawa nila sa buong mundo dito sa atin.
Okay.
I think they will definitely control the 26th election. If there is a coup, I never took the NTC seriously, National Transition Council and so on, because Penoy is giving the Americans everything he wants. But it is not a coincidence, the National Transition Council here, with Bert Gonzalez et al. Behind it, is the same term as the group in Venezuela, National Transition Council, that has just attempted a coup in Venezuela. Very few people know this in this country because we do not discuss these things enough. So if there is a coup, it will be an American coup that will be successful. Lahat ng laro ni Bono, unfortunately, will always fail. Because,
so, ang mangyayari, Pinoy will stay beyond 2016.
And we cannot say that. I think they're preparing Grace Poe. Kaya I call her the Little Miss Puppet. Puppet talaga yan. Pati yung storya ng totoong pagkaampon niya, binabago ngayon. But that's another subject.
Next time,
we will
talk
discuss
about it.
that.
Okay, very well. Jun, having come from Maguindanao, how do you look at this? Ano impact ng peace talks sa 2016 elections?
Una, kapag, siyempre, pinipilit kung paliwanag, kailan mahabang ang diskusyon na pinasusunod kasi ako sa aking charismatic group ng yung threat of Islamic extremism sa Kristyanismo. Sa palagay ko, hindi ho ganun kasimple. In a country like the Philippines na Muslim ay 5%, the Muslim population would want to be heard. Kaya lang doon po sa lugar namin, 95% sila doon eh. Sa Maguindanao, Lanao del Sur, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Basilan. So 5% na lang yung Kristiyano. Pag umabot ka ng 95%, they want control. Dahil nga Islam is a way of life eh. Ngayon, Islam as a way of life, maraming kakontra yan sa demokrasya na umiral sa buong Pilipinas. Sabihin mo na nagkaroon na nga na-instill na yung Islamic State sa lugar na yan, makita natin, hindi pala ito laban ng mga Kristiyano at Muslim. Sabihin ba, sa Maguindanao, naging Islamic State. For example lang, magbabakbakan ngayon yung MILF, yung Mastura, yung Magundadato, yung Sinsuat, yung Ampatuan, pare-parehong Muslim na yun eh. Ano yung pinagbabakbakan nila? Sa banay sabi, ang bottom line, labanan to ng pera at saka power. Yun ang punot dulo niyan eh. Ngayon, habang nag-aaway-aaway tayo dyan, meron ngayon nakikialam nga eh, na dinidribble tayo as a country. Na sila nasusunod eh. Ito nga yung, mahirap kasi sabi Amerikano, dahil nga 10 kapatid ko, Amerikano eh. Dahil meron kasi Amerikanong kalapati eh, yung mga turista, yung mga kapatid natin na naging American citizens, kaya may mga Amerikanong uwak eh. Ito yung walang gusto kundi magkagulo ang buong mundo eh. Kanya sa palagay ko, doon tayo tumugon eh. Nadidribble tayo nito mga ito. No? Ako, akala ko taga, no, 1986 was a spontaneous Philippine Revolution ng mga tao. It was only 1996 na lalaman ko na nagmi-meeting na pala ang mga Amerikano at saka yung mga Cory group even before EDSA 2. Sabi ko, before EDSA 1. Ano? Sabihin ko, before February 22, nagmi-meeting na pala. Sila Bosworth at saka itong mga Cory Aquino group. So, nakialam pala taga sila dyan. Ano? At saka, nais ko sana i-correct din na from 1898 daw, ang Pilipinas daw under the Americans for 40 years. Sa tingin ko, mali po eh. From 1898 to 2015, under po tayo ng mga Amerikano. Lahat po ng mga administrasyon na yan ay talagang Amerikano nagpatakbo. Maliban sa 7 taon, 4 na taon na under tayo ng mga under tayo ng Hapon, at yung 3 taon na under tayo ni Erap. 7 taon po doon, may pasensya na po tayo dahil si Erap lang lumaban eh. Ito, pinatake niya yung all-out war niya, pinipigil siya niyan. Kaya, so for 118 years, 116 years, 109 years of those, alagapatakbo po sa bansa natin, mga pangulo na sumusunod lamang sa beck and call ng isang foreign government.
Napakasaya nito. So, what you're telling us is, hindi coincidental yung pagdalaw ni Stephen Bosworth sa Times Street kay Tita Cory before she assumed power at yung pagdalaw ni Harry Thomas bago na-proclaim si Pinoy sa Times Street?
Tama po yun. At yung pong pagpili kay Ramos against Mitra after the convention. Andun po ako, bakit baka ako, Mrs. President, natalo sa convention eh. Tinawag niyo kami para mag-Ramos, nanalo pa rin si Mitra eh. Bakit nung gabi, gusto niya mag-Ramos pa rin kami. Ngayon ko lang nakita na sinususiyan talaga eh. Na the Americans were for Ramos. Ano? Kanya, kamanga po nito, no? Noong 2010 elections, meron po Samar Group at saka merong Balay. Ano? So, ando po ako sa Samar. Sa Samar yan, ito po yung opisina nila Jojo Ochoa, who is the Executive Secretary. Nagkataon nga na nakiusap po sila na kung pwede kumampanya po ako doon sa Muslim provinces. So, bihira po ako nagpupunta sa opisina once every 3 days. Dahil nga, these are island provinces, mahirap ikutin eh. Pagdating ko po ron, pagdating ng mga alas 9 ng gabi, maglalabas na po na isang ice bucket eh. Mag-iinuman kami, 2-3 biringkan. Ayan. So ako, tinatanong ko, Pisan, kinausap na ba tayo ng Amerikano? Si Pisan, si Jojo Ochoa, pareho po kami tiga-Pulilang Bulacan eh. Ang nanay po namin. Ano? Sabi niya, hindi, wala. After a few days, balik ulit ako, Pisan, kinausap na ba tayo ng Amerikano? So wala, sabi niya. Pangatlong beses, ba't mo ba lagi tinatanong sa akin kung kinausap na tayo ng Amerikano? Sabi ko, Pinsan, dalawa lang kinakausap ng Amerikano. Yung may panalo at saka yung mananalo. Kapag hindi tayo kinakausap, hindi tayo kasama sa bilang. Huwag ka maniniwala sa survey na yan. Ano? On the 4th time, mga last week of April, hindi pa ako nagsasalita, sinalubong na niya ako, nakaganon. Nakaganon na. Kinausap na tayo ng Amerikano. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Maganda yun ah.
Well, sa akin naman po, no, yung pagiging mga bayani ng SAF 44 ay dahil sila ang nagturo sa ating bansa, no, unang-una, yung halaga ng Mindanao sa ating pulisiyang nasyonal at yung papel na ginagampan nga ng Estados Unidos sa ating mga pang-araw-araw na buhay. No? Huwag po natin kakalimutan na itong operasyon nito ay conceptualized, funded, implemented by the Americans. Ang tanong, ano ba talaga ang pang-interes natin na nasyonal na sunod-sunuran tayo sa mga Amerikano? Sa totoo lang po, hindi ko naman kilala kung sino si Marwan hanggang nangyari na itong SAF 44. At sapat ba ho talaga na binuwis natin ang buhay ng SAF 44 para makuha itong si Marwan? Ano pong impact nito sa eleksyon? Well, ito po yung kanilang pagiging bayani. Ngayon pong eleksyon nito, lahat po ng nagdanais na manilbihan, kinakailangan magkaroon ng posisyon. Anong posisyon mo sa Mindanao? Anong posisyon mo sa Bangsamoro Basic Law? Anong posisyon mo sa kind of government na kinakailangan meron kayo? At mas importante, anong posisyon mo sa papel ng Amerika dito sa ating bayan? Huwag po natin kalimutan ang pagiging bayani ng SAF 44 at kung lahat po ng Pilipino ay isa sa puso itong kanilang pagkabayani, tingin ko po, mababago naman natin ang ating kasaysayan.
Napakaganda. Sky, closing theme natin ngayon. Sige na.
Salamat po sa inyong lahat. Marami akong natutunan na kasi hindi ko masyado, medyo bata pa po ako nung naabutan niyo yung mga 1980. Pero po, maraming salamat po kasi marami po akong natutunan sa inyong lahat. And sa ating mga press people na nandito ngayon, maraming salamat din. And sir?
Kami po yung nagpapasalamat sa inyo walang sawang pakikiisa sa tapatan sa aristocrat. Itong mga panauhin nating ito. Nakakalungkot man, pero pag nauso yung brain transplant, hindi na mabibili utak nitong mga ito sapagkat gamit na gamit at sana pakinabangan ng bayan. Maraming salamat po and please stay healthy. We will pray for your safety as well. Thank you very much.